B.Scott from Hiram Clark.
All right, it's the B-Block Podcast. Brandon Scott here. Texans advance. Texans survive and advance. Man, there was a stretch there where it was looking pretty rough early in the game. At various points in the midway parts of the game, but the Texans pull it off. A dominant victory, 30-6, a blowout. On paper, it's going to look like a blowout, and ultimately it was based off of the fourth quarter, how the Texans handled business in the fourth quarter. They got the two defensive scores. Really, that first one was the one that set them apart, that won them the game. But, I mean, they outscored them 23-0 in the fourth quarter. You get, of course, the strip sack, fumble, recovery for a touchdown. Will Anderson getting home, Sheldon Rankins picking it up and going to the end zone. His second time getting to the end zone this season. The second time that he and Will Anderson have combined to do such a thing. And then you get Woody Marks, 100-yard rushing on the day for Woody Marks. 19 carries for 112 yards. That was one of the more impressive parts of the game. Texans able to run the football. Felt like maybe they should have even tried to do that a little bit more. But Woody Marks gets your touchdown for good measure. It's pretty much a blowout at that point. And then to add insult to injury at that point, because now it's pretty clear that the Texans are going to win the game. We got to start talking about is these Aaron Rodgers' final moments. And we talked about this leading up to the game. Will the Texans end Aaron Rodgers? It looks like they were. And as they were, a pick six for Kalen Bullock. Odd extra point situation with Kaimi Fairbairn missing that, but it didn't matter at that point. 30-6, Texans win. They travel to face the Patriots in the AFC divisional round. Their first road victory, their first road playoff victory ever. And they're going to go and face the Patriots on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Can't wait for it. Man, what a game. And let me be honest. Look, I'm hyping it up. I'm talking about what a game. Let me be real. This was a rough watch at different stretches, and it was in part and in large part, I would say, because of the Texans. Like, it was great watching their defense operate, watching their defense continue to bail the offense out time after time, turnover after turnover, misstep after misstep. The defense keeping them in the game, and I suspected this as it was happening. I'm like, man, all of this is nonsense that we're seeing from the offense right now, but the defense is so damn good that they're going to keep them in the game. And it's going to come down to, can they make plays at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, as they have throughout this winning streak. And it is, by the way, a 10-game winning streak now. 9 games to end the regular season and now this victory. But are they going to make the plays down the stretch? Or is the offense going to wake up, get his head out of his ass, and stop turning the ball over, stop being penalized? That was more so earlier in the game. But you understand what I mean. Stop missing these opportunities. Like, is it going to happen? And then not only does the defense hold up, not only does the defense do its part in terms of keeping you in the game, but they literally go out there and win you the game. Literally go out there and get you the points that separate you. So, look, it was not an entertaining game. It was an ugly game, in fact. But it was one that it was the type of game that the Texans win. This is how they get down. This is who the Texans are. So I want to know from y'all how y'all are feeling about this game. We're going to talk about C.J. Stroud. We're going to talk about the offense. We're going to talk about everything that was not. But I did want to start the live off by at least just celebrating the fact that the Texans got their first road playoff victory. And they're going to go. I said this in a live that I did before the game. They're going to go into a divisional round game with, I think, their best chance to win that they've had in 15 years. At least for me, this will be the most confident that I've been in a Texans team going into a divisional game in 15 years, since their very first one in 2011. The most confident that I'll be. And it's got a lot to do with the defense. Like, there's not anything that happened in this game that makes me feel any differently about the team overall. Now we'll talk about the quarterback and how, like, the one redeeming part about this for him is that they've got another opportunity. Like, this is going to go down as a bad CJ Stroud playoff game, despite them winning it. But now they've got an opportunity where he at least has an opportunity to make like that never happened. He goes up there and balls into England, and it's like it never happened. They could go up there and win a game similar to how they won this one, which I think is very possible. And the conversation will just kind of continue into the next game and the next game. And it'll be interesting to see how long they can actually win games this way. It looks like a winning formula. I know it seems dated and antiquated for a team to be able to, like, actually win a Super Bowl on defense alone and with a quarterback that turns the ball over or just does not look like a clear difference maker in a lot of ways, which I think CJ Stroud is. I thought this was just a bad game. But, like, the idea of that seems outdated, but you don't really normally see defenses like this. And most of the teams that have been winning Super Bowls have had great defenses. The one that just won it last year, the Philadelphia Eagles, had a great defense. The Chiefs before that had a great defense. You know, the Rams bought themselves a really good defense. But this feels like a winning formula. It kind of feels like a winning formula, as troubling as it may be, or as troubling as it may seem. I want to start off really by just acknowledging the defense. Man, the defensive line, Sheldon Rankins, you know, the heads up play to recover the ball and get into the end zone. But the stars of the defense really shined, I thought. Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter in Aaron Rodgers' face throughout the night. Made it hell on him throughout the night. It like, to the point where the turnovers did not matter aside from the opportunity cost, aside from not getting the points that you were supposed to get on those turnovers, you know, on those drives in which you turned the ball over. But then it just allowed the defense to kind of unleash. It allowed Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. And you even saw Sheldon Rankins on that play where he recovers the football and takes it back. I mean, he's just guiding the guard right into Aaron Rodgers' lap. They got that one sack where they don't even touch Aaron Rodgers. All they did was, like, literally collapse the pocket. And just like Aaron Rodgers caved in on the play. They were insane. They were relentless. And then the defensive backs, everybody else, like Jalen Petrie was incredible in this game. Kamari Lassiter made some tackles in the open field that were incredible in this game. It was just like, it was an incredible performance. Now, it is worth pointing out that the beginning of the game looked like I know from watching the first couple of drives, let's call it the first quarter or so, feeling like, man, a lot of talk about this defense, and they show not looking like it right now. I'm wondering when they're going to wake up and actually look like the defense that we've hyped them up to be. When will they become and look like the defense that was advertised? And boy, they did that. I mean, y'all remember, like, they get a 5-yard run to start the game. Like, it looked like they were going to be able to run it with Jaylen Warren, and they were getting it to DK Metcalf. And it just to start the game, it looked a little worrisome. DK Metcalf only finished the game with 2 catches for 42 yards. Yeah, DK Metcalf finished the game with 2 catches for 42 yards. Both of those came in the first quarter. After that, there was really nothing. It looked like they didn't even really throw him the ball after he dropped that one pass, right? He actually beat Stingley and drops the ball. And I don't know if he got a target after that. And so, I mean, for whatever reason that was, maybe that had to be a film thing. He didn't end up getting 5 targets, so he was targeted again after that. But it just, I mean, you take DK Metcalf out of the offense, and what are we really talking about? And they did finally figure it out with the run game and shutting that down for a minute there. Like it ended up being just 3.5 yards a carry for both of the backs. But for a minute, I mean, it was like around 4 in that first quarter, and it was looking like, man, they running the ball on them, and they finding DK Metcalf, and like, what's really good? What's really going on? So they tightened up the defense, and that was pretty much all she wrote after that. Once the defense really locked in, there was really nothing that the Steelers could do. It didn't even matter that the Texans were kind of like pissing the game away. So now that we've spent the first 10 plus minutes giving credit to the defense, we shouldn't overlook Woody Marks, Nick Chubb, and Christian Kirk, probably first and foremost. Christian Kirk picked a hell of a night to have his best night as a Texan. Hell of a night to have his best night as a Texan. We mentioned Woody Marks' 19 carries for 112 yards. Nick Chubb, 10 carries for 48 yards. Christian Kirk with a team high and game high 8 catches for 144 yards, plus the touchdown, the one touchdown that had the Texans pick. And I felt somewhat vindicated as a Christian Kirk acquirer supporter, if you will. Like, I was in favor of them trading for Christian Kirk. I thought that was a good move, and it hadn't quite worked the way I felt like a lot of people expected it. The people that were, in support of the move, didn't work out the way you expected, but you saw tonight exactly why you would want a Christian Kirk on the squad, exactly why you would want a Christian Kirk on the team, because he was out there balling. Even when Nico Collins was in the game, Christian Kirk was like he turned into like a third down machine for CJ Stroud. And then Nico Collins ends up exiting the game in the fourth quarter with the concussion, which is something to watch out for because they end up carting him off the field. Don't feel great about the idea of going any stretch of time in the playoffs in a win or go home scenario without Nico Collins. Nico Collins injuries are for the regular season, and I don't want to even be dismissive about the injury itself. Like, I hope Nico's okay. Concussion, nothing to be dismissive of. Carted him off the field. He had a towel over his head. I hope Nico's okay, both from a health standpoint, and I hope he's available to play sooner rather than later. It's hard to imagine that happening on a Monday night, him getting carted off the field and then being ready to play on Sunday afternoon. I got a tough time seeing it. But the bright spot was Christian Kirk. For the Texans, the bright spot was that Christian Kirk was available and open often. Caught 8 of his 9 targets. Again, had the touchdown, had the big 56-yard catch. That was huge. Like it wasn't just the volume. You look at his box score, and of course we watched the game, but you'll go back and look at the box score and be like, Christian Kirk had a really good game. It was actually even better than that, in my view. At least the eight catches for 144 don't even begin to speak to how impactful it was, because a lot of them were third down catches, late down catches, gotta have it moments, right? The Texans, they were incredible on third down in this game. Yeah, here we go. 10 to 15 for third down. A big part of that was the ability to get the ball to get the ability to get the ball to Christian Kirk. Getting the ball to Christian Kirk, that was a big part of it, and the ability to run the ball overall. The fact that a lot of those third downs were manageable third downs, and when they weren't, you could get the ball to Christian Kirk. Just incredible third down efficiency from the Texans in this one. Another area where they were really good that they normally aren't. The red zone. 2 or 3 in the red zone. Love to see it. 2 or 3 in the red zone, and of course you get those scores. The most important scores were your your defensive touchdowns and really the Sheldon Rankins. But 2 or 3 in the red zone, 10 or 15 on third down. Contrast that, right? Like compare that to what you were doing defensively against the Steelers, 2 of 14 on third down, smothered on third down. Okay. And 0 for 2 in the red zone. Obviously, they only scored 6 points in this game. Both of them were field goal, or all the points were on two field goals, didn't score a touchdown. They didn't let them in the end zone not nan time in this game. So want to make sure I get through that. The defense overall balled out. Offensively, the run game, shout out to the offensive line, shout out to Woody Marks, shout out to Nick Chubb, shout out most importantly, above anybody, especially in this passing game, Christian Kirk, showing up when you really needed him. Okay. So we got that out of the way. Senior Buble, what up? Appreciate you for being here, man. Texas League of Collectibles says going to be key to see how Nico comes out on the injury report. We will be on the edge of our seat all week, bro. Unless they rule him out early and just kind of dead the conversation, we will be on the edge of our seats all week. I'll say I just said this, but like that's a quick turnaround. I would just be shocked if he plays. I'm kind of just at a point already of expecting him not to play. Texas League of Collectibles also says that with the Texans defense, I fully trust them with young Drake May. Look, if I'm Drake May, I am look, and Drake May, to be fair, Drake May is not the statue that a 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers is, right? We've seen Drake May. He's an athlete, kick and move. He should be able to navigate the pocket and just navigate the chaos a lot better than Aaron Rodgers did. That don't mean that he's going to be looking forward to it. He can ask Josh Allen about Drake May if he wants to know. He can ask Josh Allen about what it's like for a quarterback who's got some size and some wiggle to him to have to deal with a defense with this much rage and energy and speed and power and nastiness to it. Appreciate you, Texas Leaguer, for being here. It says nothing better than watching with sons. All of us rooting and enjoying the game, man. Yeah, this is a good little family moment. If you're all fans, I think my kid played video games for most of it, but can't get them all to get into it. Yes, Conroe girl, I did say not nan time. I'm country too. And shout out to Conroe. But yes, I did say not nan time. They didn't get in the end zone, not nan time. That's the type of talk that you don't normally get on Sports Radio 16. I don't think I talk like that there. Even though I probably would if it came down to it, if I felt inclined. I don't feel like I'm not allowed to be country on there. But they didn't. They didn't do it not nan time. The defense got so pissed off, they scored both. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they got pissed off, but they did take it into their own hands. And why not when you're that damn good and you're going up against the stature and you basically outmatch anybody. They want to dink and dunk. All right. They want to miss their deep shots when they're there. All right. You had your chance, DK Metcalf. You beat Stingley on this play. You had your chance. They tried to. Who was the receiver that they tried to get it to? I think it was Calvin Austin when Kamari Lassiter was all over him. And Calvin Austin kind of slows down on the route. And, like, I don't know if he's trying to get Kamari to run into him or what, but they wanted a flag on there. It's like, nah, man, y'all had y'all chance. Y'all had y'all chance at that. We're not having that. Senior Buble says that the short week is not our friend on the Nico front. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, just how it looked and him struggling to get to the sideline, them carting him from, and maybe it's just because it's a long walk from the sideline to the, to the locker room, and you don't want nobody that's compromised to even have to walk. But it just did not look. It didn't look good, even if we had a full week, to be honest with you. But you're right, Senior Buble. A short week is not your friend on that front at all. Yeah. We're trying to stop a Stephon Diggs revenge game. That's definitely something that absolutely nobody is talking about. But fair enough. Fair enough. I don't think there's any revenge there, though, to be honest. Like, I think it was just a matter of, 1 year deal, go out there and see what the market dictates. And it was probably wise for them not to spend the $50 million or whatever it is that Stephon Diggs got, 20-something, 30-something million guaranteed, whatever it is he got. But, in New England, they figured it out. They went younger, drafted guys to do Stephon Diggs things and drafted guys and then brought in a lesser version of him, just an actual slot receiver in Christian Kirk, and said, hey, we're going to make it work with Nico Collins as our guy. Christian Kirk is our vet. Xavier Hutchinson as a reliable vet, and see what these rookies can give us. And honestly, it's worked out. I ain't got no problems with the wide receivers on this team. I really don't. Now, the quarterback is somebody that I've been a supporter of since day one. I was glad that they drafted him. I have been impressed by him at various points through all 3 seasons of his time here in Houston so far. I think he's the future here. I think that they're going to pay him. I think that he probably does not get enough credit for whatever leadership does exist because of, I don't know, his body language or demeanor or the fact that he cried when one of his teammates got injured, which I think all of that is a little bit unfair. But, man, this performance on Monday Night Football with the world watching, not it. And like I said during the game, I meant this. If they had lost this game, it would have been some real rough conversations. And the rough conversations would not have been about, do you pay C.J. Stroud? Because y'all can ask and talk about that all y'all want. I hate to break it to you. If you are holding out hope that maybe they'll start over at quarterback, or maybe they don't commit to C.J. Stroud, or maybe they just play out the 4th year, exercise the option, and kick the can down the road and pay him later, I got news for you. They're paying C.J. Stroud. The uncomfortable and hard part of the conversation was going to be about how you feel about it. Because that's not something that I think, especially after the rookie year, and even after last year, but especially after the rookie year, and going into last year and even going into this year, and the fact that they've won 2 straight division titles and gone to the playoffs 3 straight years, and now won their first road playoff game in franchise history. Not necessarily because of him, but like with all that success, you would expect to feel good about paying your franchise quarterback and taking that next step forward in the building phases of your team. This is going to be one of those real awkward ones where you're like, yeah, we paying them because we got to, because you ain't got no other options, or you don't, kind of stuck with them or whatever. But it just doesn't feel the way it's supposed to feel, or at least that is the energy it's going to have. I've been clear. I believe in the quarterback. Nights like this, games like this make it very hard to defend. make it very hard to be on that side. I'm a Justin Herbert guy too. After last night, I look silly. CJ Stroud guy. After the night, rough night to be a CJ Stroud defender. Can't sugarcoat it. Nate says that the Patriots will be the real test. If the Texans get past them, they're going to the Super Bowl. This is interesting because when we talk about the AFC being wide open, it really is that. It really is that. Like, I don't know if any team can say that. If I get past this team, I'm getting past that team, and I'm doing that in the third. I'd love to say that. And part of me does think it because the other team, the teams on the other side of the bracket, let's play out Nate's theory here of getting past the Patriots and getting to the AFC Championship game. If it's the Bills, you got them at home, and you've already done that. You've beaten them at home in a prime time scenario, beating them at home the last two seasons. One of them nobody remembers, and Josh Allen's MVP year. Nobody remembers that game early in the year where the Texans ate his lunch in his MVP season. But they did that last year, then did it again this year, sacked them 8 times on Thursday Night Football, beat the Bills. That happened. And then the Broncos, the whole reason why I haven't struggled to believe in them is because I watched them play in person. And that was one of the more underwhelming wins that I've seen all year. And, it happened with CJ Stroud getting concussed in the first half. And Davis Mills kind of, rusty, hadn't really shaken the cobwebs off yet. And a lot of people believe, myself included, that if CJ Stroud plays that entire game, that the Texans got a real good chance of winning it. Barely lost it anyway by a field goal. All of that to say, that's a Broncos team that it feels like the Texans are more than capable of beating. Felt like they were capable of beating on that day, and certainly capable of beating now. Now, that was at NRG. This game would be in Denver if it were to happen. But I like where your head is at. I like what you're saying there, because I think any team, the cool part about what you're saying is that I think any team can think that and say that about the next or about their next opponent. All right, like the Patriots could be sitting there and thinking like, man, we're not going to see a better defense than that. We're not going to see a better defense. The Broncos defense is really good. The Bills might beat them, and their defense is not nearly as good. That's going to be the ultimate test for us. We beat them, we going to the Super Bowl. The Bills could say the same thing. We're going up against the number 1 seed already. They better than the Patriots. The Patriots didn't play nobody this year, and we saw how underwhelming that looked against the defense. Was really good, but their young quarterback didn't have a great game against the Chargers. The Texans quarterback didn't have a great game against the Steelers. We're going up against a young quarterback. We got Josh Allen. Everybody else got some young quarterback that nobody is sure how good they are yet. We win this game, we should win the next one. If I'm the Bills, I'm thinking that way. There's no reason. And that's a lot of the national conversation too right now about the Bills. There is no excuse not to win or at least go to the Super Bowl in this scenario. You got to go through Bo Nix. You made it through Trevor Lawrence. And now all you got in front of you is Bo Nix. And then on the other side, Drake May or CJ Stroud. Drake May is nice, MVP candidate this year. CJ Stroud has had nice moments so far in his young career. But Josh Allen's got to be above that. If I'm a Bills fan, if I'm doing national commentary on the Bills or any kind of commentary on the Bills, that's what I'm thinking about. Like, if not now, when? If not now, when? And then the Broncos, we number 1 seed. We're better than all these teams. And the best team we're going to face is the one with the MVP. We beat them. Then all that's on the other side is a team that we've already beat, and a Patriots team again. Feel like we're better than them. But yeah, it's gonna be another test, but it's gonna be, I think, and I said this in my last live too, Nay. I think this is gonna be a test for them, but also a very similar style game. A very similar style game to the one that we just watched tonight, the one that we just watched on Sunday night, where it was, what was the score? 16-3 or something like that. And this game ended up getting out of hand with the Texans and the Steelers 30-6. But I mean, we're talking about a potential 20-17, 17-13, 23-20 type of game. You know, like once they start to get in the 20s, we might be really on to something. And look, Drake May is capable. C.J. Stroud is capable. But these defenses, oh my God. These defenses, speaking of, look, so, because look, C.J. Stroud's about to go up against another good defense. I don't know as many of the guys on the Patriots defense as I do on the Steelers defense, because somehow they just be doing it with anybody out there. But can we talk about C.J. Stroud and some of this decision making? Like, I don't know if I've soft pedaled it for the first 30 minutes of this thing, but I'm not going to do this for too much longer. We got work to do tomorrow. We got things to talk about. I got Rockets tomorrow, and they're their own issue. But we just got to talk about the C.J. Stroud performance for a second. And me as somebody that is a full supporter and defender and believer in C.J. Stroud, what was going on tonight? Somebody did mention that for the most part, the throws weren't awful. He had a couple of misses, and this happens every game now where there's a couple of misses where you're like, I like to have that one. We got to have that one. The ball placement specialist got to have that one. The one to Nico Collins before halftime, right? That last drive, okay? The one to Nico Collins before halftime, that was a miss. That was a miss. He's wide open, and you overthrow Nico Collins. You miss a target that big and sure-handed. That's not good. That's on you. I know Troy Aikman said that he's seen Nico Collins make tougher catches than that, but that was a tougher catch than it was supposed to be, given how wide the hell open he was. So you had that miss, and you had these turnovers where it was like pocket collapses, but there's happy feet as well. Like there's not calm within it. And which is weird because we've seen CJ. It's one of the better things that he's done throughout this stretch since he's come back from the concussion is react to pressure in a much more positive way, whether that's throwing the ball away or getting out. Like he hasn't been using his legs as much, but like doing something. And he was just too late to make the decision on whether I'm going to tuck this thing and run or take the sack or throw the ball away a little bit earlier. But when he's deciding to throw it away, it's too late, bro. They're coming for the ball. They're there. You trying to throw it away? Nah, it's a fumble. That's what happened on the first one. And then the second one, you know, kind of a similar thing. It's like trying to throw it late when you're dead to rights and you've already committed to not running. So the decision making with the flush pockets, the happy feet, the throwing it way too late in the game, making the decision to throw it way too late in the game. And I understand he's just trying to make a play. But you got to eat it. Marcus Spears was saying it at halftime, man. That's especially that second fumble, man. You got to eat that. You got an opportunity to get them 3 points, man. You can't turn the ball over here. Whatever it is you're trying to get done, it ain't worth it. Whatever it is, it ain't worth it. Step up. You could have stepped up and really got a yard. But even if not, take the sack. You're not losing. He wasn't losing no more than like 2 or 3 yards and wasn't gaining no more than 2 or 3 yards. Take whatever it is, live to fight another day. I don't know what was going on with the decision making. It cannot look like that against the Patriots. It cannot look like that again. Not if it's win or go home type of situation. Not in the playoffs. It cannot be. So I thought this was an unacceptable game for the turnovers alone. The one person that mentioned he did have some really good throws and some really good moments. It was not all bad. I was in a group chat. Somebody was asking, like, was this CJ Stroud's worst game of his career? I thought he had some moments that made it feel like that because it's the playoffs and you turn the ball over twice and then you have the interception. I didn't even talk about the interception. But you got 2 lost fumbles and an interception. That's 3 turnovers on the quarterback. We didn't mention the delay of game that wasn't because they called a timeout to avoid the delay of game. But then when they came back, and this wasn't on Stroud, this was just kind of an operational thing. Blame it on the tackle, blame it on Trent Brown, I think. But then you come back out of the timeout that was really just to bail you from one penalty, only to have a false start. Like, ooh, boy, rough watch at times. But CJ Stroud did make some throws. Christian Kirk, who we credit for having such an amazing game, every one of them catches that he had was thrown to him from CJ Stroud. Like, you obviously don't get the big Christian Kirk day without something from CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, 21 32, 250, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, but lost 2 fumbles. Overall passer rating, 86.7. Outplayed Aaron Rodgers, but only outplayed Aaron Rodgers because the Texans defense was so damn good, not because he was. I believe in the dude, man. I think he can be better. I think he will be better, but he does have to be better. It can't just be me saying, it can't just be my belief, right? The same way they talk about this. Nick Saban, the Alabama guys, Will Anderson, Christian Harris back when we used to hear from him. Staying away from the rat poison. My criticism or my support, one way or the other, ain't going to affect a damn thing. So it don't matter how much I believe or how much I think he's good, how impressed I've been by him through his first 3 years. You go out there and play like that in a playoff game, you're going to get dead. You're going to get got. You're going to be sitting up at home. Brandon says, can we get a guardian cap for Nico and Woody? Look, we talked to Jalen Petrie several weeks back about the guardian cap, kind of when he came back and was first wearing it, and he came back with his hair on fire making plays, man. So we asked him about it, like, hey, are you gonna start a trend here? And he said that he's recommended it to his teammates, but it's a rough look. You got to be real confident and not feel a certain way about seeing yourself out there with that thing on to do it. And clearly Jalen Petrie and his family decided it was the best, or the best route for him. But no, I would love to find some kind of mechanism to protect both Nico Collins and Woody Marks at all costs. When Woody went down in this game, after he had been running it really well, it was that drive, I think, that might have started with Nick Chubb really punishing. I believe it was a touchdown drive where it's really Nick Chubb punishing the Steelers defense. I'm trying to remember, was that a touchdown drive? Either way, it was Nick Chubb punishing the defense, and it was Woody Marks punishing the defense, and he goes down quickly with an injury, and I'm like, yo, Woody's been banged up, but they absolutely got to have Woody. Mind you, they don't have Jawar Jordan. It's Nick Chubb, it's Woody Marks, and it's Nick Chubb. Then we're in the Dark Ngumbawale, British Brooks territory if one of those guys goes down, because Jawar Jordan's got the high ankle sprain. Can't have Woody Marks go down. I'd love to get a guardian cap for them cats. Senior Buble, I appreciate you saying that as sad as our QB history has been, I don't get the lack of appreciation for CJ. Look, this is a good point. Also one that I try to steer away from because none of that, like CJ's success or failure, frankly, has nothing to do with the quarterback history of the Texans. Like it's a rough quarterback history, but it is one independent of CJ Stroud It is one independent of D'Amico Ryans. It is one independent of Nick Caley, you know, and to a large degree, even Nick Caserio. I know he had Deshaun here for a brief moment, and drafted Davis Mills and all of that, and now it's drafted C.J. Stroud and all of that. But all of the stuff that you're talking about before that, like it's not. It's more of a thing for us, but not as much fair to him one way or another. Whether you're trying to credit him, appreciate him, or criticize him and say it's just another Texans quarterback. Like, I try to stay away from that a little bit, but I get what you're saying. Like, for a fan base that has had a rough go at quarterback, had Matt Schaub, had Deshaun, that ended poorly. And now you got C.J. Stroud. You've had 3 franchise quarterbacks. This is the most successful one. Believe it or not, this is the most successful one. 3 straight double-digit win seasons and now a road playoff game or road playoff win. 3-2 in the playoffs. Never not been to the playoffs. The 3 straight playoff appearances, that's the first time that's happened in franchise history. So, I mean, I get it. Like, how soon we forget? I'll just say that. How soon we forget, to Senor Bublé's point. How soon we forget. Because, it was hard to watch. Senor Bublé says, it was hard to watch. He had happy feet. He did. It was hard to watch. Oxymoron or moronic. Appreciate you for tuning in. Laughs and says, the Patriots is the test. No, the season was the test. 3 turnovers in this game and the Steelers got no points was the test. The Patriots are nobody else in the AFC beating this defense. That sounds like a Texans fan to me, and I'm not mad at you. I'm not here, especially after you win. I am not here to kill the joy. I am not here to kill the joy. I will say, though, that it's going to be, and it should be, what it's been, but even elevated, like times 10 on the offense, the pressure on the offense to, like, get it together, get it right. And when I say the offense, I actually want to be more clear on this, actually. C.J. Stroud in those moments. That was the thing that stood out. I view the kid as a star, as a potential star. They're going to pay him like one. But damn it, bro's got to play like one. Said it earlier. The hell with what I think. You got to play like one, dog. It's simple as that. It don't matter if I hate or love you. You got to go out there and play like one. These skills H-Town. If the moment was too big for CJ tonight, I wonder how he will react next week. I didn't feel like the moment was too big for him. I just thought he didn't play well. I don't think it's the moment. I don't know what exactly it is. He's played in big moments. Like, the moment almost feel like an excuse to me. Like, what if for all the skeptics, and I've been on record, I'm a supporter, but for all the skeptics, what if y'all are right, or more right than you think, and he's just not that guy? He's just not that good. It's not the moment. He's just not good enough. That would be a tough pill to swallow, definitely for me, because I think he is. But I don't think it's the moment. I don't think CJ's shrinking in moments. Or it is the moment that is getting to him. But it was puzzling to me. Got to have a CJ game, a clean CJ game this week. I think so. I mean, you've shown clearly that you can survive a non-clean CJ game. Did it against the Chargers. Did it tonight. clearly you can survive it. But I mean, who wants to do that? Who wants to do that, man? Who wants to do that if you don't have to? Because, and again, I've been saying, and they've been saying, and we know this to be true. Their formula is the defense that we saw tonight, but also not turning the ball over. Huge part of their formula for winning. Not beating themselves, winning the time of possession, and when the other team does have the ball, it's actually a problem because they have to go up against this defense. I'd like to see a clean game from CJ this week. I'm not entirely sure that they need it. I think in the short term, here's where I'm at with the CJ thing. I think in the short term, both the exciting and troubling thing, and it really just depends on how you want to look at it, but it is exciting and troubling, I think, both at the same time, is that they can win like this. I've been asking this question for weeks. Can they do this? Can they pull this off? Can they keep winning like this? And CJ hadn't been as bad as he was in this game. He's actually been pretty good. And so nothing like what we saw in this game, but the offense, we've been talking about it. The offense has had these moments where we're like, ooh, what is that? Can they win like that? They keep freaking doing it. They keep doing it. 10 straight games. Hard to feel like somebody's a loser when they're winning. Hard to treat somebody like a loser when they're winning. Is the Patriots defense the best defense that the Texans will face this season? I'm not sure. I think so. I think the Broncos defense has a case. I think that the Jaguars defense is really good. I think that the Chargers defense is really good. So I don't know. It's a really good defense though. I mean, they made Justin Herbert and the Chargers look like crap the other night or last night. So Conor McGregor, it might be. It is between. They played Seattle. So is this the best defense that they played since Seattle? And that didn't go particularly well. That feels like years ago now. So that's probably the best defense that they played. Seattle's defense. D-Skills H-Town, I am hoping that it isn't a matter of CJ peaking in his rookie season, not hating, just puzzling. Yeah, it is puzzling. It is puzzling, man. I mean, they had a lot of really good things going for him that rookie season. And last year was a weird year because of the inconsistency and availability of the weapons. Like they never had their full complement of guys that they were supposed to have. Tank Dell got injured at the end of the year, but I feel like Stephon Diggs missed some games. Joe Mixon missed some games. So and then of course the offensive line was a mess. And CJ Stroud was on the ground quite a bit. So I thought last year there was enough, not just simply excuse making, but like enough ways to justify why you didn't see as productive of a year or the same type of year out of CJ Stroud his second year that you saw in the first year. Then you look at this year and you've got a new offensive coordinator. You do lose your running back and end up having to rely on your rookie, Woody Marks, to end up being your lead back. But as far as CJ in the passing game, new offense, more responsibilities pre-snap, and I don't know. And then of course the Tank Dell thing. There's no Tank Dell at all at any point. This is his first year without throwing a single pass to Tank Dell. And I think, like more specific to that point, not really having a guy as reliable or that he could trust as much that plays that kind of similar role. And Christian Kirk did a little bit of it, funny enough. I know he's more of a slot guy, but they wanted to bring him in here for explosives, knowing that Tank Dell wasn't going to be available to them this year, knowing that they weren't bringing back Stephon Diggs. Like that was the idea with Christian Kirk, was that you would have one more explosive guy or one more explosive receiving option. And it hadn't really been that really as consistently as anybody wanted it to be. It was that tonight. But I would point out not having Tank Dell at all or anybody really like him. You know, I know a lot of us wanted Jalen Noel to be that guy. I think there's a reason why he wasn't, you know, and started to kind of become that guy a little bit later in the year. But don't have Tank Dell, don't have anybody like him. I think Tank Dell was a big part, like having Nico and Tank, you know, like a true bona fide number one in Nico that can do a little bit of everything. But then Tank that presents a specific type of explosive threat with his, you know, start and stop and, you know, his release and all of that. Like he's a very special and specific kind of player, I think. And I mean, you know, there are guys like that around the league, but this was the Texans guy like that, and they just don't have another one like it. So, so I would point to that, but also hold him accountable for some of the subpar performances that we've seen. You know, for the fact that the offense has not been, since his rookie year, to your point, these skills, H-Town, since his rookie year, they haven't been like that. Offense just hasn't been like that. Wasn't like that last year for reasons that I just described. But also this year, I think you got to put a little bit more on him in that. And because that was the point, right? That was the point of the offense. They was going to try to put more on C.J. Stroud's plate. And what did they get out of that offensively? They got 12 wins out of the entire effort of the team. And C.J. Stroud contributed to that. The offense contributed to that. But, and it has improved throughout the course of this winning streak. But it needs to be better, point blank. Not really no way to sugarcoat it or talk around it. It needs to be better. Oxymoronic or I'm sorry, let me try that again. Oxymoron or moronic says that we just have to stumble to 20 points like they've been doing the last 2 months. I feel like a broken record on that one, man. My number is 23. I feel like 23 is that magic number, but I mean, we could arbitrarily put it anywhere from 20 to 24, right? Score anywhere from 20 to 24, we feel pretty comfortable. Y'all as Texans fans feel pretty comfortable about the Texans' chance to win pretty much any game if they stumble to. I think this is important too, where you say we just have to stumble to. Because when I said something similar to this to somebody, can't remember who it was, might have been Ron Schultz, Sports Radio 16, The Drive 2 to 16, Foolish Club Media as well. He's like, oh, 23, 20, you think the offense can score 23 points? I'm like, no, not the offense, the team, which is where the stumble word, I think, is good. Stumble to. I thought they stumbled to 30 today, almost literally. Got one from a defensive lineman. Got Woody Marks kind of sneaking through a hole and like kind of stumbling his way with an exclamation point. You got Kalen Bullock on the pick six, not allowing an old ass Aaron Rodgers to be the one to stop him from getting this pick six. And all of this after the offense turned the ball over 3 times and failed to capitalize in some key situations, including the end of the second half. Hadn't talked about that. 54 minutes into this thing, hadn't talked about the end of the second half. That continues. I'm sorry, the end of the second half. The end of the first half going into halftime. The end of the first half going into halftime. And now it's like a thing now where, and it happens on, it just happened too often. You've had too many occasions where the end of half operation is just not good enough. The urgency, the management of the clock, the management of timeouts. I think it was Troy Aikman pointing out that they were taking their timeouts way too early. Not to mention that they kind of had been bailed out. They got an extra timeout from Pittsburgh because they took one. Talking about that last drive of the first half where they didn't do anything. That drive where CJ missed Nico Collins wide open. But the way that they managed that clock, the timeouts, and it didn't help that earlier in the game they had to call one to avoid the delayed game penalty, and it ended up not mattering because they got a false start as soon as they snapped the ball, or as soon as they ended that timeout. Yeah, it was just they got to figure that out. I talked to D'Amico about this exact thing during the week of like the areas in which they felt like they improved to where they learned how to win. Same areas are key. They've been better, but third down, red zone, 2 minute. Third down, red zone, 2 minute, playing clean with the turnovers and the penalties. A fairly simple game and simple path to victory for the Texans that they like try to abide by. Senior Buble says that CJ with a clean pocket has been elite. Let's not forget he's done more with less these first few years. Yeah, I thought he did more with less his rookie year. That's actually the tough part about it, Senior Buble, if I'm being honest. Like, I actually agree with you that CJ with a clean pocket has been elite. I think that he's still, despite missing some throws here and there this season, I think he's still an elite, has elite accuracy and has a chance to be one of the like better half kind of type of quarterbacks, right? Top 10 type of quarterback. I think he's been really good. I thought that he did more with less his first year. And then like last year, the offensive line was crap, but they went out and got him Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. I thought they anteed up. I thought they did exactly what you're supposed to do after you have a year like that with your rookie quarterback. When you have a turnaround like they had in 2023. To go all in and invest in the team the way that they did last year by doing the Stephon Diggs trade, doing the Joe Mixon deal, doing the Daniil Hunter deal, like I thought it was important for them to ante up in the way that they did. And that they got more, and it just didn't work out last year. Again, the offensive line was terrible, as we know, but those guys that they picked up didn't all really play together that much. And they still won 10 games and got to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Still was a successful season by that measure. 12 wins against the first place schedule is nothing to sneeze at. No argument there, Senior Buble. No argument against that. Oxymoron or moronic says that the defense is a cheat code. I don't know if it's a cheat code, but it's definitely a bailout. I mean, before we wrap this thing up, would y'all agree that that's a fair way to assess this game, that the defense bailed out, namely CJ Stroud? It's a team game, so this is how we talk. Teams don't talk like this. We won the game. We on the same team. If we win it 45-42, the defense is giving up touchdowns left and right, and CJ Stroud has to throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he bails out the defense. And ain't nobody gonna bat an eye. You're gonna take the dub, but it's the other way around in this one. Cheat code, I don't know, but definitely a bailout. That's the way I look at it. They did try. Everybody just got hurt. Yeah, exactly. Everybody just got hurt on top of the fact that the offensive line just was not good. That's why they had to redo that thing. And then they fired the offensive coordinator. Do y'all think that last year, not to relitigate last year, but do y'all think that if all of those guys are healthy last year, that it saves Bobby Slowick's job? Because I don't. I think they're better offensively, so maybe it does. But I'm not entirely sure that he was fired just based off of their production as much as the way they work together at that point. Conroe Girl agrees. The defense bailed out CJ in the offense. It's hard to reckon because I mentioned Woody Marks had a really good game. Nick Chubb came in there and gave you some really tough runs. The offensive line really got after it in the run game. Christian Kirk had his best game as a Texan. And he doesn't have that without C.J. Stroud, who has to throw him the football. So it feels fair to criticize and honest to criticize the Texans offense and say that it wasn't good enough, but also important to point out the areas in which it was, right? Like you don't get to be that efficient on third down and talk about how the offense wasn't so good or how the offense was no good. They were 10 of 15 on third down. They punted the ball 3 times. One of them not very good. Old timing shanked one. But they punted half as many times as the Steelers did. They were 10 of 15. Again, 10 of 15 on third down. The Steelers 2 of 14 on third down. They were 2 of 3 on fourth down. But 2 of 3 in the red zone. They outgained them. This was one of the frustrating parts about the first half. How they were only up 7-6, but the Texans had outgained the Steelers by 104 yards. They had won the time of possession by 3.5 minutes. But since they lost the turnover battle, it didn't cost them in points on the other side, right? They didn't give up points on the other side as much as they didn't score the points that they were supposed to score. And then, of course, the end of the half stuff. So you get a 7-6 halftime score, despite the fact that you are dominant. Like they dominated them in this game. And if I'm a Steelers fan, I feel pretty bummed about the fact that this game was to be had. Like it was kind of served up on a silver platter, despite the fact you were being outplayed. You had a chance to win the game, or at least you were close going into the fourth quarter, where they kind of blow it open. But yeah, they end up outgaining them 408 yards by the Texans to the Steelers' mere 175 yards. They held the ball more in fewer possessions. Texans had 9 total drives, but won the time of possession battle by nearly 5 minutes, by just under 5 minutes. So outgained them 408 yards to 175 yards and possessed it longer by nearly 5 minutes, despite having 2 fewer possessions and 2 or 3 in the red zone. Can't be too mad. They won the game. I will rock with it. Senior Buble that says that he didn't think that Slowick could be saved. CJ was looking like he didn't like football at times last year. I would agree with that. Oxymoron or Moronic says that the turnovers was the problem with CJ today, but the team played very well as a collective. It's a team game. It's a team game. And I'm so glad that it is. So glad that this is not basketball where you're relying on your star player, your franchise player to be great. And if he's not great, you're probably going to lose. we think that and say that a lot about quarterback play, kind of reduce the analysis down to what are the quarterbacks going to do. That's both easy and, easy, digestible, and it's the thing that people actually do want to talk about quarterback. But team game, 100%. Never felt like the Texans defense was stopping I'm sorry, Senior Buble, I hate to misquote you as I'm reading the actual comment, forgive me. It never felt like the Steelers defense was stopping the Texans. The Texans just kept giving them the ball. I think that is a fair way to put it. I do. I think that's a fair way to put it. I mean, they were running the ball. This is another frustrating thing. Like, just run the ball. Run the ball. I know it after that second lost fumble for CJ, I'm like, man, just run the ball. Run the damn ball at that point. But you're right. They Steelers, for all the talk about the Steelers defense, there were a couple of moments where up front I saw Titus Howard kind of get took for a ride by Cam Hayward. No shame in that. Cam Hayward's going to be a Hall of Famer. But for all the talk about the defense, Joey Porter, I thought, had a good game. What's the guy, Herbig, the guy that comes in for TJ Watt sometimes? I thought he was pretty decent. But nah, I didn't think it was. One defense was not like the other. Put it to you that way. Art Tyson says the CJ will be fine on the interception and both the lost fumble plays. He tried to do too much. Needs to be disciplined, playing within himself. That will come with maturity. Well, I agree with that. I thought that, one of the credits to him, because the offense has not been like super explosive, hasn't been great this year, but one of the credits to him, and Seth Paynes talked about this, I think he talked about this on this very show last week when we went live here on the B Block, is that CJ's done a much better job in terms of the maturity aspect of understanding when and when not to take risks. And it's made for some boring moments. It's made for like game management allegations. But I think that's void of the context of needing to be able to manage the game. How important that is, especially with a defense like this, to not be trying to do too much, to not be trying to play the hero, to not be trying to get it all on one play. Thought he'd done a good job for the most part. As one area in which I would credit him this year. And the hardcore, like film watchers and football watchers who really appreciate the game, give him credit for that as well. He did not do that tonight. So, all right, man, we've gone over an hour. Normally don't go this long, but hell, man, Texans just won their first road playoff game, and they did it without their quarterback being anything close to brilliant. Might even say they did it in spite of their quarterback, but that's why it's a team game. That's why you have a running back. That's why you put so much effort and energy into your defense like they do. So Texans advance, Texans survive, Texans escape. Whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it, whatever you want to call it, man, the Texans are still alive. They're playing an AFC divisional game against the New England Patriots on the road. And as it was brought to my attention, I think it was Shelton in the last live earlier today, Bills win. We still rooting for the Bills, baby. You got a chance now. You beat the Patriots and the Bills beat the Broncos. You can host AFC Championship game, chance to go to the Super Bowl. Again, we're allowed to put the cart before the horse like that. Got a game to take care of first. Got a game to celebrate right now. moment to celebrate right now. Okay. Gonna do a reaction Tuesday on Sports Radio 610. I don't think I'm gonna be on the air. I'll be behind the scenes doing what I do. I'll be at Toyota Center later in the night, try to figure out what the hell is going on with these Rockets, get some tabs back on. They went out west and lost their minds. They coming back home. We're gonna see if they can get right. In the meantime, though, we'll celebrate this Texans victory, man. I don't blame y'all if y'all do. Don't blame y'all one bit if y'all do. Because it is cool to win in the playoffs. Do not take that for granted after the years that you had before the D'Amico Ryan, CJ Stroud era. This was not guaranteed to you. Fair enough. Appreciate y'all for joining B.Block Podcast on YouTube, on all of the podcast platforms, wherever it is you get your podcast. Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend. And until next time, man, y'all be good.